The following presentation is brought to you by the Pride of ODU, the official NIL collective of Old Dominion Athletics. Be a monarchist. Join the Pride. Monarch Nation, welcome to the show. We are back in the lab, ready to talk some Old Dominion football on a Victory Friday. Old Dominion beats Georgia Southern 47-19. We're all happy. We're all ecstatic. But first, how are y'all feeling today, fellas?
Awesome. One word. Awesome.
I'll second that. Awesome. Awesome night last night.
All right. So a common theme we've had this season is talking about how good this defense is, but also we need to use the middle of the field on offense. And boy, did we exploit that to the T last night. Again and again and again, just crushing Georgia Southern over the middle. I do not know why they didn't add a third middle safety once in the game to adjust to what we were doing, but I'm happy they did not. Phenomenal effort last night all around. Defense played lights out. Offense played lights out. I think all Monarch fans are just on cloud nine right now.
I mean, we needed a game like that so badly for this fan base. Just a no sweat, let someone come into Ballard and get the shit kicked out of them. And that's exactly what we did on national TV, by the way. I've never seen that many receivers running open downfield before in an ODU game since maybe the Heineke days.
Is there something above Cloud9? Because if there is, I think that's where most of Monarch Nation is right now. It was stupid crazy last night.
I think the word we're looking for is catharsis. That was a very cathartic game for Old Dominion. I mean, they showed the graphic during the game. I watched the replay. They showed the graphic of how many one-score games we've been in the last two seasons. 10 and 11 says Old Dominion leads the country in one-score games. And finally, we're on the right side of a blowout for the first time in a long time, and it's because we finally connected through the air. There was a couple plays that I really, really did enjoy last night. Obviously, we all loved the jump pass, the Tebow jump pass. But the RPO play action touchdown pass to Conroy, if you go back and rewatch that, he motioned like he was going to block for the runner. We fake the run. He bolts through the line on the A gap. He's left wide open and just nothing in front of him. Beautifully drawn up play and very well executed. I'm going to probably watch that play like 10 times this weekend just because of how much I loved it.
It was super clear to see that Colton is getting more comfortable. He didn't rush those plays. There are a handful of those plays that he just let them develop. He was patient. They weren't necessarily perfect, but he was patient enough, and he got the ball where he needed to go, and they were beautiful, and they worked, just over and over and over. It wasn't one punch to the face. It was just like repeated jabs and then an occasional right hook. I can't remember the last time that we had a game like this.
And the offensive line played exceptionally well last night. They've improved, I think, every game since Bowling Green, and they've had some injuries. Elijah Hoskins goes down. Santana Saunders was not there last night. Skylar Grant gets plugged in at guard. And, they were manhandling a big defensive front for Georgia Southern. I think it was 57. He's got to be every bit of 350 pounds. And Skylar Grant and Flores were just throwing him around like it was nothing. You can do a lot of fun things in this offense when the line is blocking like that. And we had them on their heels. They didn't know if it was run, if it was pass, where it was going. I think that's the most unpredictable our offense has been all year. And we emptied the tank, and it paid off in a big, big way.
Hey, you're talking about being unpredictable. We passed the ball for just over 300 yards, and we run the ball for 256 net yards. It's just constantly not knowing where it's coming from. And just when you You think that you're going to get it run down your throat. They run something and they throw the ball. I mean, Georgia Southern never seemed to get any sort of balance. They're constantly just didn't know what was going to happen, what was coming next.
Yeah. A lot of kudos to give out from last night. But early on in the game, it was clear we were trying to establish the run to set up that pass. And we never abandoned that balance. Just like you said, Aaron, it's why we did it on both sides of the on offense yesterday. 300 yards, 250 rushing, just phenomenal game. That I mean, how nice it is that we were able to play the whole fourth quarter with all backups. I can't remember the last time we played a backup quarterback for anything other than injury or lack of execution.
I mean, we've only won one game by double digits since 2022. And we're going to reference this Coastal game from 2022 a lot because we smashed a lot of the records. That had been the high watermark for Coach Ronnie since he got here. But man, I mean, that broke a 21-game streak without 300 yards passing for ODU. And we had that basically in the first half. And then, yeah, Quinn Henicle gets some quality reps in game against Georgia Southern's first team defense. And that pays even more dividends down the road for you. But, I mean, Holden Brown got a snap last night, which was a little bit of a fire drill scramble, tossing the bright pink hat. But, man, just everything about last night was awesome.
Yeah, so a couple other things to note. Isaiah Page recorded his second 100-yard receiving game in his career and on 7 catches. His effectiveness all across the field was on full display last night. But most importantly, I think we threw a hitch to him early, and how quickly Colton just looked his way and threw it. There was no hesitation. He was going there from the jump. And that lack of hesitation is kind of what I think led to our more successful passing. Because you saw, like, before Colton started, we were kind of hesitant to make those throws, overthinking it, and it allowed the defense to react. That wasn't happening last night. He was looking and throwing and just going.
It was Mike. Oh, sorry about that, man. But it was everything that we've heard, all the anecdotes, all the things we've heard about Colton over the course of time, what the players have said and how he plays and the nicknames that they have for him. Like, it's all starting to come together. We're seeing what we had heard about, and it could be a lot of fun.
And I think Colton even had a little bit of a regression in the last game, at least in the passing attack. And he made up for it with his feet, made the plays. We beat Texas State. But to see a quarterback come in, have like the quick spike to playing well, regress a little bit, and then go forward again, like that's what you want to see after a little bit of regression in the passing game. And I mean, there were probably some P4 coaches watching that game last night wondering how they missed on Colton because, I mean, he looked like he was in running for the Heisman last night. It was unbelievable.
Well, how many times did the commentators talk about how he was overlooked? You know, his only offers were Army or Navy or Air Force. I'm thinking right now those offers sound pretty damn good if you're looking at what Army and Navy's doing. But obviously we're very fortunate to have Colton, and the game is starting to come to him.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about the offense, but how about the defense last night? They didn't have to be on the field very much, but whatever we have figured out in the secondary for disguising coverage and baiting quarterbacks into throwing picks, we haven't had a bad defense with Blake Seiler here. You know, we've always been above average or better, but they have stepped into a completely different realm the last couple weeks against some of the better offenses in the country. And I mean, Will Jones last night just perfectly baited a guy into throwing an interception. They thought he was dropping in coverage. He took half step back, came forward, the ball's in the air, picked off. I mean, just the defense ate last night at every single level, but that secondary is doing something really special this year.
Yeah, I think, it shows you, we talked about time of possession for the last 2 seasons, right? I mean, on this show. Last night, we clearly came out strong. We dominated time possession in the first quarter. I think it was like 11 minutes to 2 and some change. But that ability for the defense to rest after they force 3-and-outs or it's just so valuable, and it helps the defense. They had one of their best games ever last night, and it's because of that balance.
And being able to use the iPads on the sideline now, if you give them more time on the sideline, they can look and diagnose and see things that went wrong. I mean, when the game was still in any kind of contention, they only got busted on one play, and it was a funky screen. It was a good play call. They executed it well and kind of created a tunnel screen on a slant route, and it went for a touchdown. But outside of that, in like meaningful playing time, aside from, for whatever reason, calling a flea flicker and putting a trick play on film down 44-7, I mean, the defense just gave nothing. Like, you might get a first down and woohoo, you celebrate, and then you're punting 3 plays later. Like, this team is dangerous. Dangerous.
Very dangerous. And what's up to you two, Justice and Garrick? Obviously, it was a lot of fun last night. That middle of the field was big time. I still can't get over how balanced we were last night and just running the ball. I mean, Aaron Young with 77 yards, Colton with 77 yards, Bryce with 59 yards. I mean, these guys averaged 5.5, 8, 8.6, 8.4. It was just like no matter. It was just one shot after another. It doesn't. It can't get much better than that.
No, it's that whole. We see games where we make the wrong call and things might go a little haywire, or maybe a couple things go right, and then you get that holding penalty that stalls you out. But last night, we were just pushing all of the right buttons at the right time, and it results in the best win in a decade for Old Dominion football at home. On an important night, national television, everyone is watching because there's only one other game on, and we took that opportunity and did the best with it. It's amazing.
Not only on national television, but it was a high-stakes game for both those teams. The team that won that game puts themselves in the driver's spot for the conference. I mean, obviously, there's a ton of football left in the season, but the winner of that game controls its destiny. We have not been in that sort of position in a very long time, and these guys seized the moment and just they took it from the very beginning, and they never, they obviously did not let it out of their tight death grip. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. I'm still excited.
So, I mean, we were in that position last year and didn't realize it, right? Because if we beat Coastal or beat JMU, it was just too early in the process to realize that we had a chance for a conference championship. But now we know this is real. And we took full advantage last night. And Colton Joseph now is a star that everyone knows.
And huge shout out to the coaching staff and all the other support staff that's involved in putting that game together. They basically lost 2 days of prep, and we somehow look substantially better playing on Thursday night. And that is not easy to do, to get 115 guys to all go in the right direction after maybe feeling a little bit overconfident after beating Texas State, getting a little winning streak going. They weren't. They were focused every time they hit the field. It was like they needed to win this drive to win the game. It was just great to see that. But also on offense, like Coach Decker, I think, has found the balance between how to trap the defense on the field and go quickly, but also control the clock. So we still weren't huddling. We weren't giving the defense time to sub. We were going to the line, putting them in position, and then we would sit back. And I know that helmet communication going to Colton was probably going nuts. Then it cuts off at 15, and they would stop again and go to the sideline for the signs. So we're able to take 30, 35 seconds off the clock, but not let the defense do anything. We basically get 30 seconds to study the defense and then go attack it. And I think that is the biggest factor in us controlling the clock last night, keeping the defense off the field, and just executing good plays of finding a tempo that's fast, but still very accurate and effective. And they did that with perfection last night. So kudos to the coaching staff. especially on the offensive side of the ball.
And to even add more to that, we were making it easy for Colton to have a night because a lot of those throws were easy throws to be made just because of how the plays were drawn up. And there's no one in the area because it's wide open and right in front of your face.
You're right.
Down
And the
the
important thing is he hit those passes.
Yeah.
You know, very, very early on, a couple games ago, those passes might have been a little long or at the feet. But last night he was pretty darn good with hitting those, and he made a couple really nice passes as well.
Very early in the game last night, he missed a Conroy throw that would have probably went to the house. But the beauty of it is he just collected himself and focused and kept his feet balanced on his throws remaining in the game and didn't miss many moving forward. Ends up, 20 of 26? Just
26 or 27.
Yeah, just phenomenal.
Yeah, 20 and 26. I mean, what a phenomenal game overall with 0 interceptions as well.
And I don't remember seeing a single drop. So credit to all the receivers for doing their job. Because, I mean, we all have seen it over the years. It's not – those easy passes aren't always easy to catch.
Hardest pass to catch is the one when you're wide open and can run for a touchdown because all you can do, you're trying to move your feet and clap your hands at the same time. Colton in the red zone was also really, really good. I think a couple of his incompletions came in the red zone, but they were balls thrown on like corner routes or fades to where your receiver is going to catch it or it's going to go out of bounds and let's go back and try again. I think we've seen some turnovers in the red zone historically where we rush a bad pass. We try to just fit something through a tiny window over the middle, but just making smart decisions in the red zone. I know at halftime, I think we were 5 for 5 in the red zone or shortly into the third quarter.
Yeah, you're not kidding. They put that graphic up on the board, and I think we were losing it. I mean, on one side you had ODU, and we were either 4 of 4 or 5 of 5. I can't remember in the red zone with 4 touchdowns and a field goal. And Georgia Southern was 0, just straight zeros all the way down. I certainly can't remember. I don't know if that's ever happened since 2009, but yeah. I mean, Alec, you're absolutely right. We own that game from kickoff to end, and Eva, we agree. Being able to chill in the fourth quarter was a nice feeling. We've joked with each other that we single-handedly, or not we, but Old Dominion football single-handedly put some cardiologists out of business this week because we were all able to just kind of enjoy a lot of that game and not be super stressed out.
I want to highlight a couple moments. There was 2 plays that I'm remembering where Colton gets flushed out of the pocket and he's trying to make a play on his feet. One, he finds Peanut Houston. The other, he finds Patrick Conroy to extend the drive. And obviously, for these receivers, they know if they keep their heads up and they keep moving, they can still make a play even if the line is losing that battle on that snap. And that's got to be so big for our offense. These receivers know, hey, I just keep playing, I'm going to have a chance to make a big play here. And in both instances, Peanut makes a big play, and so does Conroy. And that's just the dynamic that Colton's bringing to this offense. It's just so fun to watch because a play is never dead with this kid.
Yeah, you can tell those guys have been working on the scramble drill in practice because you could see when things did break down, you see them run their route and they look back to see where Colton is rolling to, and they start rolling to that side of the field, and they're losing guys in coverage left and right. I thought Peanut ran some amazing routes last night. I think it was his second touchdown catch. He kind of ran that in route right along the backside of the end zone, and that was just perfect. Ran the route to perfection, was right there basically at the goalpost. Colton hit him pretty easily right over the middle. But I think Colton's best play of the game actually came later. I think the game was out of reach, but it was the cherry on top of a nearly perfect offensive performance, and that was his rushing touchdown. We were clearly in some kind of run there. We wanted to move some clock, and Georgia Southern, with about, I think, maybe 15, 17 on the play clock, brought that cornerback in to basically be right on the end of the line. That move should have blown up that play. It should have. But Colton talked about in the post-game press conference, he knew that he was hot on that. He saw the cornerback there, looked right at him. He sold the handoff on the read option so well, had his back to that side of the field, then spun out and just took off down the field. And by the time the cornerback figured it out, Colton's 5 yards downfield, splitting the safeties into the end zone. I mean, that's one of those plays like you see it develop and you're like, oh, crap. This thing is going to get dropped in the backfield. Colton's going to get smashed, or, it's going to be a 1 yard run up the middle. But for him to see that, recognize it, know he need to really sell that handoff and then go for touchdown, like that is him being super, super comfortable there running that offense and understanding it, understanding the defense, just full of confidence. And he was strutting his way into the end zone. I know Justice had a pretty good video. Damn, it feels good to be a gangster. I'm sure that's exactly what he was thinking, rolling into the end zone.
All right, I want to go back to this offensive line because we've seen a lot of injuries on the line so far this season. I mean, you got Santana, who's down right now. You got Hoskins, who's down right now. Again, next man up mentality is at full effect on this offensive line. Skylar Grant comes in, and another smooth performance for the O-line. Obviously, Colton's feet are helping a lot with us being able to do this. But, I mean, you can't be upset with anything last night other than maybe some special teams issues.
Yeah. And there weren't a ton of those. Well, yeah, there kind of were. I'm so happy that things are just being iced over. We did have some issues punting the ball. We had some issues with some snaps. Fortunately, you can learn and grow in an ass whooping of another team, So they weren't overall, they didn't change the course of the game. Those are things obviously in the next 8 days that the team will work on to get better in. But it's wonderful to be able to learn in that sort of situation. I'm excited to have a little extra time because when Ricky has extra time, he seems to deliver. So I know it's only 2 days, but still, it's significant.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
All right.
So
slow down.
I was going to say, so we know that this coaching staff does really well after a bye week, and now they do really well in a short week. Should we just play on like Thursdays and then have bye weeks every other? Because if they need less time and more time, I mean, that seems to be the magic trick for us.
We'll give Bruce Stewart a call up and see if he can manipulate that somehow.
Yeah. Maybe we play Thursday, Saturday all season long. If we keep winning, we might have that schedule next year anyways, because you're going to play more midweeks if you're very good, right?
And better than playing on a Wednesday at Kennesaw State.
Well, not if you're Kennesaw State. If you're that other team, you don't want to be doing it.
Yeah, double field storming Wednesday night was very fun to see.
All right. Yeah, last night was so much fun. I don't know why everyone left early. I guess Friday's a work day, but that place was empty in the fourth quarter.
That happened once we sealed the game against Texas State too. People started rolling out. Like
I wanted to soak in every moment of that game last night because it's not guaranteed, and we should know that better than any other fan base in the country right now. And that's what is so confusing to me about people leaving early. If you got to go back to Nova, Richmond, I get it, but for us,
you got young kids, I get that too.
Yeah.
School night. But if you're grown ass men like us, come on, man, stick around for the extra 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's not guaranteed because we've seen how long it took to get back to this point, to being competitive. It's been a long road to be here, to get here. We haven't been this competitive since 2016. Last year we were competitive, but, that's a long time, man. Why are you leaving early? Soak it in, enjoy the moment, because you don't know what's going to happen the rest of the season.
I mean, we've suffered a lot as a fan base over the last 7 or 8 years through bad seasons, bad games, blown leads. Like, you suffer through that so you can go and enjoy the moments like last night and Saturday against Texas State. So I don't get it. And plus, you missed one of the best moments of the night if you did not stay through the 2-minute timeout in the fourth quarter. Because Isaiah Page got lifted up by a bunch of offensive linemen for the Simba cam. And it didn't get shown on the video board. I don't know. I know Brian Parsons from Wavy got video of it. I got video of it from the stands. But it was funny. They held him up there for like 90 seconds of the TV timeout. And you could just tell those guys were having a blast on the sideline. And it's nice to see them happy after a game and not like stressed and worried and thinking, oh crap, practice is really going to suck tomorrow. No, they get to go enjoy a couple days and then get right back at it to go to App State. But it was a party at Ballard, like from the middle of the third quarter through the end of the game. And it was so much fun.
And speaking of in-game entertainment, bring back the chug cam. That was great. We need more of that.
I'm hoping that dude Scotch guarded his shirt, though, because a whole hell of a lot of it did not make it down inside.
He had to do some explaining when he got home, I'm sure, but it was probably worthwhile. I mean, if you're going to do it on the video board.
Honey,
Everyone
why
went
do you
nuts.
smell so much like beer? Oh, Gary spilled it on me.
Sure.
I wasn't drinking.
Honey, you smell like a brewery. What's going on?
Well, speaking of breweries, it was great to see Josh from Afterglow before the game yesterday.
Yeah. Always fun seeing those guys. Man. Alex.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Students killing it every game. And the beauty of that moment last night of us kicking their ass, we got to be creating more fans for the future with this season. We gave them a great show. They left happy. This is how you create fans with games like that.
Absolutely. And we had a comment a few minutes ago from Jay Reynolds. He was talking about it's great to finally bring some friends to the game and have that kind of experience. So bring those friends back, get them to buy season tickets. That's how we grow the fan base.
And there are a lot of tickets for the JMU game on the secondary market that are really cheap right now. And as we get closer to that game, they may get more expensive. So if you got friends that are coming or you want them to come, go grab those tickets now. Don't let them go unused because it's sold out through the normal like first market channels. Go get those tickets now. Bring a couple of your friends at JMU game because I think that's going to be a very fun game for us.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking up TFLs from last night.
I was about to check my work phone when I heard that.
I know. I heard that dong. That's the TFL dong.
Don't say dong too many times.
Oh, we've got explicit lyrics. It's okay.
We're going to start popping up in different algorithms. You keep that up.
All right. Does anyone have the total TFLs for last night?
I don't.
I got you. It was one tackle for a loss, and it was split between Seth and EJ. And
So
that's because the defense went on the field enough.
That right there is a future trivia question. You see a score like this, a defensive performance like this, and you go, oh, they had more than one. There's like
They
5.
must have had 7.
Angelo Rankin forced more fumbles than we had tackles for a loss because he forced 2 fumbles last night.
Which is
That's what they should have used that damn video last night instead of the mixed extra point.
I really liked that they used that for the missed extra point. But that was the first time an ODU player had 2 forced fumbles since 2018. And that was O'Shane Zimenez against VMI in that blowout game where we closed Ballard.
I hear that
Right.
Zimenez guy was pretty good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
He did do it 2 other times in his career. So, pretty damn good player.
Not bad. He should have played in the league, right?
Should have.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want next week to come because of how good this moment feels and how good yesterday felt. But I can't wait to watch this team take the field again to see if they can build on this and just keep putting Sunbelt on notice.
Before we do that, Mike, we probably want to do a couple things. One thing, talk a little bit about the before game stuff. The other thing is maybe take a super fast break for the Pride.
I mean, if you guys are done talking about last night, sure.
I could talk about last night forever because I knew it was over when the F-18s flew down Kaufman Mall. That's when I knew the game was over last night.
Dude, the vibes on campus pregame were immaculate. We saw so many friends of the podcast yesterday that it's going to be hard to name them all, but it's just so cool. The community we're building and the people we've come in contact with over the years through this podcast. And it just made yesterday even more special than it was.
Yeah, I mean, there was, I don't even know. It was awesome. I'm still so shocked that I got handed a beer from the Czech Republic yesterday after having just got back from the Czech Republic and drinking that same beer, too much of it. So thank you.
What was your stomach's reaction when you saw that beer?
Well, I immediately texted my wife and I got cool emojis because you guys know that in my family, my wife is the I'm the little girl when it comes to drinking. I like shit that's sweet and could have umbrellas, and my wife will take the beer and make me look bad. So I was actually pretty happy to see it, believe it or not.
By the way, Aaron, you can buy that at Total Wine.
Yeah, I heard, and Harris Teeter as well. Apparently,
yeah, it's everywhere. We got to meet Thomas DeMarco yesterday. Talked to him for a minute. And he told us a really interesting moment. He's there hanging out with Plisco, and he says, "What? I don't know if this story is true, but he told it to us." He said when he was being recruited by ODU, they're like, "We got this other guy that is a punter. We're not sure of how good he is, so we'd love for you to come in and punt for us." Yeah. That other punter happened to be Jonathan Plisco, so thank goodness that guy's a Hall of Famer, so we could have another Hall of Famer playing quarterback for us. Great meeting him yesterday. That was awesome.
Yeah. We might have to revisit that conversation at some point with those guys and let them hash it out for the fans.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Yeah. All right. So pregame festivities, drone show. Did the parachuters ever come, or did that get waved off?
They got waved off. So I guess the winds between where they jump at 5,200 and like 2,000 feet were pretty gnarly. So they did wave it off, which I'm not the one jump out of the plane. So if they're telling me they shouldn't jump, then I kind of trust their judgment on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Safety is most important. F-18s were really cool. We barely got to the Coffin Wall to see that. We literally walked up and it happened. But that was awesome. Great seeing the military at the march and surrounding the players. Yesterday was cool.
The ODU military alumni chapter had a tailgate on Coffin Mall. That's where I was at for a good bit pregame. I think they ended up with like 100, 125 people that came out for that, plus all the other military that was there on Kaufman Mall. And the cool thing about the F-18 flyover, and I watched it close to Quinn Hennickel's dad and the Barlevs, is the players were actually excited about it because normally they don't see that. Normally they're still in the locker room and they hear it, but they don't get to experience it. So yesterday the F-18s waited until Coach Ronnie was leading the team across Kaufman Mall, and he was right about the seal. The F-18s flew over. So the players are pretty juiced up. Just the whole atmosphere there, the whole pregame atmosphere was pretty incredible. Like, really great job by that staff that puts all of that together and makes all those crazy things on the field pregame happen. Loved integrating the military band into our band for the national anthem. Just some amazing things pregame. But the drones show was awesome, but also slightly terrifying. I think we'll hear more about that in a little bit.
And yeah, and the whole military appreciation thing, which being a veteran, it's great to see, but I would love to see more of that. Get those guys and gals out to the games. There's no reason why we cannot get more of them to the games, because just like the students, they're probably going to be the next rowdiest group of folks to be making noise and get into the games. So I think we need to try to grow that partnership.
I will say this. So on Monday they had the Ricky Ronnie coach's show from the Eisenhower. I went on Twitter, checked it out. Chowda Hill, which is the commanding officer of the Eisenhower, it's pretty funny on Twitter. But someone asked him, like, "Oh, so are we rooting for them this week?" I'm from Georgia, so I was thinking Georgia Southern. And he goes, "No, we're rooting for the hometown team. We're Monarchs this week." having a guy like him and if he can get his boat on our side, how many people? I mean, how many people are on an aircraft carrier, Aaron?
Well, right now, since they're pier side and they don't have their carrier air wing, it's probably a couple thousand. A lot of and
Imagine if we had a couple more thousand there last night.
Well, kind of my angle with it is you got a lot of young men and women who are away from home. They're by themselves, especially during this time of year. You start to get closer to the holidays, and they don't necessarily have a place to land. We used to try to take those sailors and we bring them into our our homes for Thanksgiving or whatever. So create this environment where they've got kind of that home away from home. Who doesn't go to a football game or a basketball game? At least for me, I know I go, and for that 2-3 hours, I don't think about a lot of things that are stressful outside, in your regular life. Like that part of the brain gets turned off and you just get encapsulated into that. So I would love to see more of that. And really, like Ricky says, we don't have to be your number one. People coming from all over the country, we're happy to be the number 2 for you. So come out, make some noise.
I mean, from personal experience, I grew up in Hawaii, but the University of Hawaii would give tickets to military families a lot. So I grew up rooting for the Rainbow Warriors because it was really cool. We could ride the bus. Me and my sister could go on games on our own because, I mean, you ride the bus downtown. It takes 10 minutes. It was cool, but it was because of that outreach to the military that we became fans of them and rooted for them. Yeah. I want to note something. Alec Geis is a talented photographer for Old Dominion, and he's in the chat right now. I'm excited to see these F-18 pics. I haven't seen them yet, but wanted to note that while his comment is on the screen right now.
They were showing a lot of infographics on the scoreboard last night when we were in the TV timeouts with like military facts for Hampton Roads and for ODU. And like the numbers were really awesome. I think it was like 5,000 ODU students had been active duty military. But the one that got me is 20% of the population in Hampton Roads is affiliated to the military in some way. Like active duty, retired, reserve, families of military. I mean, that's 20% of a pretty large metro area. That's a huge market to go try and capture. And if you start kind of building that with, all right, people that are a year in the military, 2 years, 3 years, the people that you're talking about, Aaron, that are here by themselves, they end up staying here long term. You've created a lifelong fan just like you would an ODU student or an alum or someone like that. So it's putting in that hard work now to get them invested. And I think catering to them quite a bit like we did last night was awesome. But that's your backup fan base right there. Like that's your supplementals for these games because it's a lot of fun.
It's also a recruiting tool for the university because a lot of these service members are going to go to college after they get out or while they're serving. If they have a connection to ODU like that, the likelihood that they go to ODU is even higher. So it just makes sense all around to welcome in the military, treat them right, and build this fan base up because it's the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, and I'll give a shout out to Harry McBrien, who is a monarchist, key member in our group and a partner. He put so much of that last night together, from the flyovers to the military alumni chapter tailgate and everything else coordinating. He's done a lot of work to get ODU closer to the military, and you can see the results. And also, Harry's just awesome. If you didn't watch the podcast episode last week.
So before we go to break, Scott Sawyer's just asked any injuries last night. The most obvious injury last night was Jaleel Colbreth, who after he went to the locker room, I guess before he went to the locker room, they brought out a cart for him, and he goes, "No, I'm not riding on that. I'm walking off this field," which shows his toughness. But he walks to the locker room, comes back out in a sling. So we're assuming it's probably a shoulder separation or something like that. But we're wishing the best for him. I didn't see any other notable injuries during the game.
Nothing significant. I mean, I think Devin Roche was limping a little bit, and Miles Alston looked like he had something going on with like his right oblique or something. But other than my voice and then a handful of livers from some extra pilsners there. I think we seemed to come out pretty good. I mean, obviously a huge win, and we had some major players who didn't play. Obviously, Jason Henderson has been out. Santana was looking sweet on the sidelines with the shades at night. I mean, that's a great look, by the way. So like we said earlier, I don't think last night could have gone any better.
Though I will say I'm a little concerned about Jalil's injury, given how many injuries we have in the linebacking room right now. It's stacking up. And Gage Shores did come in and play well in his relief, but Jalil has been a playmaker all season, and not having him on the field is going to be a loss.
Yeah, hopefully it's I mean, I agree with you, Mike. Watch it will come off. That's just the non-doctor in me, the WebMD kind of look, but hopefully it's a strain or something like that. But I mean, who knows? It's probably a multiple game kind of thing.
It looked a lot scarier at first because he went down, everyone was waving for the training staff, and they immediately went and got the air cast bag. That's the bigger red bag that you see come out there a lot of times with like a stretcher or something like that. Anytime you see that, you get a little nervous that there's like a bad break or something. Clearly there wasn't. He walked off and he was just in a sling in his left arm, clearly upset that he got injured. But I was happy to see him get up and walk off when I saw that air cast bag go out at the beginning. But let's talk a little bit about the injury situation and just the facts of what we know, right? So Jason Henderson, it came out, was announced that he's going to redshirt this year. So you can play 4 regular season games and still redshirt. He played at South Carolina. He has not played since. We have a bye week before our final 3 games of this season. So I think we can all be hopeful that maybe we see some Jason Henderson during those 3 games. Jalen Butler, who is someone we had been missing all season, both in run blocking, but also in the pass catching game. Pat Conroy has done an amazing job and has just grown so much. But he's kind of in the same boat, but he did not play at South Carolina. So if he ends up taking a redshirt year, he could come back and play as early as next week at App State and still preserve his year. Conference championship games and bowl games do not count towards your 4. So we don't know if either one of those guys are going to be back anytime soon, but if you were thinking through it from a redshirting standpoint, it's possible that we could see them and they still don't burn that redshirt year.
All right. Thank you for going over that real quickly, Gary. I think this is the perfect time for Aaron to play the ad. And let's take a break real quick.
I got it. And as we're going to that ad, hell yeah, volleyball up 1-0.
And field hockey won their game. They clinched they're going to the Big East tournament. So way to go, field hockey.
This episode of the Monarchist Podcast is brought to you by the Pride of ODU Collective. Their mission is to elevate the experience of student athletes through name, image, and likeness, while also elevating the fan experience. If you or your business are interested in getting involved, you can reach out to us directly or go over to theprideofodu.com. That is theprideofodu.com. Thank you for listening, and go Monarchs.
All right. This weekend, Old Dominion football takes the trip to Appalachian State to play in Boone against the Mountaineers.
Mike?
What?
Hold on.
Before we move on, we do have some callers. Do we want to hit them first? Because they're reacting to this past week.
And some of them are in the chat.
They are. Yeah. All right. I was on a roll there.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't want you to get all the way through.
Right. So I'm gonna repitch. We're back. All right, Monarchs. After this resounding win over Georgia Southern, we asked fans to call us in, and we got some awesome calls. We have to start with no wrong logo. We need to start with the Duke of Discipline. He is back. Throw that logo up there. All right, let's hear Garrick's call.
All right.
Wow, surprised I remember the number. Sorry, fellas. just living on a high over here. Absolute butt kicking last night, and want to say probably our best complete game all around. Let's clean up that blocked extra point though. Other than that, I'm just really happy to see. This is what happens when you use the middle of the field. Just absolutely love it. At a high, great atmosphere, military appreciation. Thank you to everybody who served our country. Odie, you did it right last night. Let's just make sure we have a better turnout. This team is showing out every week. Let's show up for this JMU game. Hopefully it's a night game in my opinion. Looking at the schedule, it looks like it might be. So let's go. Let's keep this train moving and rain on.
Thank you so much for calling in, Garrett. We're happy to hear from the Duke of Discipline again. And you're absolutely right. Fans need to jump on board now. It's not too late to be on the bandwagon. But if you're coming around for Marshall, you're like, all right, I'm ready. We're going to call it out. You weren't here for JMU. Where the hell were you? Come out, be loud, support this team. We got an opportunity to do something really cool this season that no one expected when we were 0-3. But we're here. We're doing it. Jump on board. Have a blast. This is fun football. The defense is lights out. We got a quarterback who's got the Manziel celebration down, and he's just making plays every which way. So just come out and enjoy the game. This is what college football is all about. This is about having fun.
Speaking about having fun in college football, that is a great segue to our second call.
Hey guys, Justice here. Friday morning. I'm so jacked up still from last night. What an amazingly awesome night. If you missed it as a Monarch fan, shame on you, because I haven't had this feeling in a long time, but it was just an awesome night. Yeah, Thursday night, national TV, first place in the Sun Belt, an amazing halftime drone show that was just spectacular. And then to top it off, the Monarchs just played lights out on both sides of the ball, get the win, and hold the driver's seat, so to speak, for the Sun Belt East, if they can just keep it up. But, yeah, awesome night. Go Monarchs.
Our boy Justice, he hooked us up with the shine last week, the apple pie moonshine. But I ran into Garrick yesterday, who hands me a bottle of clear shine. So I am on a 2-week streak of getting shine at the tailgates. I need it to be week 3 at the JMU game. So if anyone's out there that has some shine and you're looking to share it with someone, find your boy, because I need to keep this streak going, because we don't know all the weirdness that's going on. We have a lot of streaks going on. Gary keeps doing the post games.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about that, but I respect the streak and I respect the unwritten rule. We have more unwritten rules than baseball.
Aaron,
this is crazy.
You were in the press conference room before the players were out of it last night. Like, as soon as they stood up, boom, here comes Aaron running in. How's the press conference?
I'm out on the field. This is killing me. Mike is laughing because he knows how much I love to be in there. But like I said, man, it's only weird if it doesn't work. So I'm out on the field, slapping hands, high fives and shit. But I've got my AirPods in and I'm watching the post game presser from like 20 feet away, and going, damn, But you said it's only weird if it doesn't work, right? And the funny thing about it is, Eric Bohannon, all those guys know what the rule is, that they're not going to see Mike and Aaron again, hopefully, for the rest of the season. I mean, that would be the goal.
Hopefully they don't see us again until like 2027.
Well, does that rule go over seasons?
Yes.
Or is it?
It goes until it ends.
Okay.
We're going to need him to come down to every basketball game too, because if it keeps going.
Oh, it goes between sports as well.
Hey. Someone's going to need to get me a helicopter coming down from Richmond.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's not going to work for Richmond. Maybe it's only games that Gary's at. I don't know. We'll worry about that shit at some point in the future. But right now, we're not going to mess with that. So as excited as Justice was about the drone show, not everybody was. It's going to lead into our next caller.
Hey guys, this is CB Wilkins, the co-host of the Hudson Homers podcast. I notice you guys don't ask me to come on and talk about football, which is probably smart because my football commentary is as in-depth as sometimes they play good and sometimes they should play better. But, you know, I mean, amazing game. I've been at all of them there on the field level. It was just ridiculous. Just they came out and punched him in the mouth and just kept punching, and it was a lot of fun. I will say my one big gripe from the game, I don't understand why everyone's so excited about this drone show. People were just like, oh, the drones. And I was in the media room at halftime, and everybody was like, oh, you got to get out there and watch the drones. And like, look, man, I walked by the field where they're all sitting there, and it's like, 70,000 of them. I don't know how many drones there were. There were a lot. And to me, it's just terrifying. Frankly, we got AI is taking over. Let's be real. In like 5 years, when Skynet goes live and all these drones are shooting at us from the sky, it's not going to be cute that one time they spelled out 757 in the sky. Okay, that's all I'm saying. All right, you guys take care. Go Monarchs.
I'll be back.
I'll note this. By the time we have Skynet active, we're going to have Boston Dynamic robots playing linebacker.
Oh, that doesn't sound very fun.
Yeah.
It's not when Skynet goes active, it's when it becomes aware that is the problem. So it can go active, you just can't let it go aware. That's when Arnold pops in my door.
I have mixed feelings on the drone show. It was definitely cool that they're doing it and all that. But I'd rather just hear the explosions of fireworks, personally.
I will say the big blue face logo that they put up there was probably cool. The most impressive thing I've seen in a while. That was cool.
I would have preferred, Gary, if you could have used yours or your lovely bride's IT skills to have manipulated that QR code to send people to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Shameless plug.
I'm going to work on that for next time.
Also,
hacking.
Did you see the comment I put on the screen? It says the helicopters are right off from PS2. I don't know.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I'll get with the two finance guys here.
But yeah, the drone show was cool, but
it was.
I prefer fireworks.
Yes, and CB, we appreciate CB. All the awesome photos you see at odumonarchist.com come from CB. He's co-hosting with me for Hudson Homers for ODU Baseball, and another shameless plug, that will be back within about a month, so get ready.
Awesome. All right, fellas, we have one last call. I'm going to play that for you right now.
Hey guys, Justice again here. This time I'm joined by some special friends. Got a special message. To the millions and millions of college football fans, can you smell what the Monarchs are cooking? Let me ask you a question. Are you ready? It doesn't matter if you're ready. Because let me tell you something, brother. The question is, what you gonna do when Monarch Nation runs wild on you? Woo!
Justice with an absolutely bonkers call. I love that. I'm also, in honor of Justice and his call right there, I'm going to start calling everyone brother. If that's
all right,
cool.
brother.
Yeah, when Mike asked us, we'll just wait. When we get to predictions for next week, let me tell you something, brother.
Yeah.
I was ready to rip my shirt off, but I just got this at the bookstore on Saturday, or on Thursday. So no thanks.
And I'm not ripping this bad boy up. So
not yet.
We just got these bad boys. So, all right. Are we ready to move on to Boone? So I'm going to try to get going again. Get back to that place I was a minute ago.
All right, let's get you hyped up, Mike. All right, come on.
Hope we didn't mess up your good take. This is the good take, even
right.
though we're live tonight.
At 2:30 p.m. in Boone, North Carolina, Old Dominion is going to take on Appalachian State to maintain their hold of first place in the Sun Belt East. Appalachian State comes in this game 0-3 in the Sun Belt. Big shocker. We talked about it. I mean, we talked about it on the show last week, but I also talked about it with Danny Reed on how the Sun Belt East is just kind of flipped on its head right now, and it's because of the preseason hype surrounding Appalachian State. They are struggling right now. They're 2-4, 0-3 in the conference. Looking at PFF, their offense is rated slightly like around where we are. We're not near the top because of all those slow games we had moving up before Georgia Southern. But their defense is porous at best. And this is an opportunity for Colton Joseph and this offense to continue the show after a nice extended rest.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm definitely going to be watching their game on Saturday against Georgia State. I know it's on ESPN Plus, 1 o'clock kick on Saturday. If you're an ODU fan, you should definitely tune in and get another look at App State. But if the season ended today, just like everyone predicted, ODU would be playing Louisiana Monroe for the Sun Belt title. So to say it's turned on its head would be a little bit of an understatement, because I think we were picked 5th and they were picked to finish last in the West.
I was going to say, you guys are Vegas guys.
Sixth.
What's the odds on that game? Would have been at the beginning of the season that game would be it.
That would, if you had bet ODU ULM in the conference title game, you'd have retirement money.
Yeah, I mean, that's 10,000 to 1, most likely, if you did the exacta bet. I don't think anyone offered it, but if somebody out there is holding a ULM ODU Sunbelt ticket, congratulations, and feel free to give to the Pride of ODU NIL Collective some of your winnings.
That would allow us to do this as a living.
I'd also
that
suggest
would have been a sweet ticket.
I also suggest you cash that out right now, because
yes,
ULM's final stretch of the season is not easy by any means. I mean, this week they play Louisiana, so their road gets a lot tougher moving forward. However, ours, I don't know. I feel amped up about this team and where we can go with a offense that is starting to match how great this defense has played all season long.
Well, honestly, I don't even think it's about who we're playing. If our team continues to play the way it is and it's capable of, they can compete with anybody. They just got to keep doing what they're doing, especially in this last game where it's really all started to come together finally.
And yeah, I don't really know what to think about App State. Like, it would be easy to say that they're done at this point. I mean, they got blown out by South Alabama on a Thursday night at home. They went up to Marshall and gave up a bunch of points and lost that game. They lost to Louisiana down in Lafayette. I think they are going to get some juice on Saturday for the first game back in Boone since the hurricane and the impact that had on Boone and all the surrounding areas. Like, I think they're going to be amped up to go and win that game, and that could be the final nail in the coffin for Georgia State as well. So I'm kind of glad we're not that game, but it's going to be interesting to see if this is App State kind of getting their thing right and they're going to start playing more of what we thought they would be, or I mean, if they drop another one, I think they're pretty much mailing it in at this point. So watch that game on Saturday. I think that's going to tell you a lot about what our game will look like the following week.
I think at this point, given his contract situation and how they performed the last couple of years, there's a good chance that we might be the dead cat bounce for Appalachian State if they don't win this weekend.
Could be.
Because they have high expectations down in Boone, very high expectations, and they're funneling all their money to football. They will not deal well with a 2-5 start and a loss to Georgia Southern or Georgia State and 0-4 in the Sun Belt. I remember them talking.
That'd be tough for any coach at App State to survive. Like you said, I mean, they just got such a history of sustained superior performance that their fans have like no tolerance for results like that.
And I remember them when we beat them last year. Their fans calling for his head after that game. It's not gotten better since then.
No, because those hopes were sky high coming into this year, and they have fallen very, very flat. This is another opportunity for us to go exercise some demons. We've been doing that this year with beating Texas State by more than one possession. We take a big lead in the game last night, and we not only hold on to it, we expand it and shut it down. Because I know at halftime, I was not the only one thinking about some toast bowl that we were in last year, but knock that out real quick to start the third. We have never really played a competitive game in Boone. I mean, we've had some of our worst games in ODU history down there in Boone, just never competitive. I think we made it 2 years ago. We made a good comeback in the fourth quarter. We were down some guys, played a little more evenly. We were never in a position to win that game. So it's an opportunity to go and check another one of those boxes off of, all right, yes, we beat App State last year. Now let's go down to Boone and get a win. So it's just a good carrot to dangle for the guys of you can be the first ODU team to go down here and win and then maintain that swag of being number one in the East. Like these guys have some confidence now. You're seeing it translate to the field. You're also seeing it with picking guys up. Like Seamus had 2 of the worst punts of the season last night, back to back. The third one, he absolutely hammered, and Coach Ronnie was running out to him on the field like they had just won the national title, and the whole team was coming with them. And that just tells you where they're at from a culture standpoint in that locker room, too, of picking guys up who are not having a good day and erasing their mistakes. Like that defense just basically snuffed out the 2 bad punts, and we were good.
Hey, on the same note, after I think it was maybe the second bad punt he had, we were sitting right on the 50 thanks to our awesome bank Truist. They did not pay for that, but they paid for the tickets last night. And Seamus comes off the field. He's got his head hung low, and he had a whole gang of teammates greeting him after he had that bad punt. And I think that is even more important than him being celebrated when he did something right, because his teammates are picking him up when it didn't go right. And that is the type of teammates that you need when you're going through a tough season where every game is going to be a battle, because that's what the Sun Belt is. Every game is going to be a battle. Before last night, I had a talk with another ODU fan, and I go, how many games do you think are going to be favored in? And that whole discussion was hard. Like just trying to figure out, like maybe Marshall, I don't know. Like now that's changed, obviously, for the week. But then a week later, that could change back to where it was last week. Like who knows? So being picked up when you fail by your teammates, it's just a beautiful thing to see. And I'm glad our team was doing that for Seamus last night.
It's a happy locker room. And I don't think they practiced today because some of the coaches were going to be hitting the road to go and recruit early this morning. But, man, it's really fun to win on a Thursday, and you just get to enjoy everyone else's misery for the rest of the weekend. Watch them sweat and struggle. Oh, I'm going to be kicked back with 2 TVs in the Octobox going all day on Saturday.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we go deeper into this Appalachian State game, what games do you got circled on Saturday, Gary? I'd love to hear it. And if any of the fans that are watching has a game that they're suggesting we watch, drop it in the chat.
Well, I'll start with one tonight. UNLV Boise State is going to be a pretty awesome game. So if you're looking for something to do after this, that game will be on here in a little while. But I've got to pull up the old Pickett app here to tell you what I'm really after this weekend. I kind of want to see Arkansas State put Troy down for good. So I think I'm going to tune into that Sun Belt matchup, basically in Troy's season. And I'll get a little advanced scout on the Red Wolves for the final game of the year.
Really good call by Alec here. Navy Notre Dame. That's a big one.
That's my game.
And in being in Norfolk, we're all rooting for Navy to kick their ass and keep this amazing season going for the midshipmen. Go Navy. Beat Notre Dame. We all want to see Notre Dame lose as many games as possible, but Navy being on the other end of it, that would be so cool.
I'm I'm rooting for the chaos that an undefeated Navy and an undefeated Army will do to the college football playoff, because that would be a lot of fun to watch them play in the American Championship for a spot in the playoffs, and the following week play Army Navy, and you watch two teams, one of them who's already in the playoffs, play the hardest they've played all season in that game, and then go to the playoffs and probably beat somebody.
That would be so crazy.
Make it so.
All right. Alec, what does he got here? Uncle is class of 81, Naval Academy is family and home to me. Very cool, Alec. Go Navy. G5 Hive, Justice is backing you up on your UNLV Boise State game, Gary. I'm kind of interested to see how Vanderbilt does hosting Texas this weekend.
Vandy and the points. Shh.
Well, we could get a transitive win over Texas, Gary.
We technically have one over Bama and Georgia. So
Right. Give me Texas, please.
what could have been in Columbia? What could have been in Columbia?
The chaos season that we're in right now. ULM in first place. Vanderbilt, a top 25 team. Like, how can you just not love this?
It's chaos, and it's great. You just don't know what's going to happen Saturday to Saturday. And we've had some incredible games across the board. Like, I'm thinking, after the Georgia State game, I was in a bar watching. It was Ole Miss LSU. Like, Ohio State was playing Oregon. You're getting these matchups that are just unbelievable coming down the final play. Like, just sit back sometimes and just remember that college football is a lot of fun. Even if your team loses, it's still more fun than probably anything else you're going to do.
Another game. I love SEC football, obviously, for my background. But LSU, Texas A&M, at Texas A&M, that could be a lot of fun. And then their fan base is just interacting. It's just so funny to me because the Cajuns on the Bayou are just so fun. And the folks at Texas A&M are kind of buttoned up. So them just interacting for a game is just funny to me.
The Colt versus the Cajuns.
Yeah, wouldn't you want to just be there to watch, like people watch that?
Oh, yeah. And eat all the good food. 'Cause you're either having barbecue or Cajun food, and you're not going to miss either one with those fan bases.
You had me at food.
I don't know about the ACC, what they got going on this weekend, but
Who cares?
Nothing important.
Oh, that's another thing I want to talk about now that we've got almost 200 people here on the live. There is some incorrect information going around about the college football playoff and how those top 4 seeds are determined, the 4 teams that get a bye. It does not automatically go to the champions of the Power 4 conference. It goes to the 4 highest ranked conference champions. So on almost every year, that's going to be your P4, right? But there's some funky stuff going on in the Big 12 where that could not be the case. So I just want to get rid of that narrative because I hear people like analysts on ESPN talking about, oh, it's always going to be the Power 4, Power 4. No, it doesn't have to be. Like, Boise State could sneak in there if they go and win tonight and beat UNLV because they almost beat Oregon. Like, they could pop in there. Talk about Navy. If they go undefeated, they could be higher ranked than maybe there's a 4-loss team that wins the Big 12. Like, they're going to get in that bye first. So just want to throw that bit of actual information out there. And so if you want a G5 team to get a bye, you would be rooting probably for Boise tonight.
all right. So I'm going to get us back on focus. Appalachian State. What can you tell me this year? Gary, you're our guy that does the research mostly. I am the gut guy, and Aaron is just our positivity.
That's right, man. I just dice chicken bones, having a good time, and color inside the lines.
So, Gary, what can you tell us about this Appalachian State team and maybe try to explain what is going wrong other than their defense sucking?
I haven't been able to do the good deep dive research yet. I just got back home today. We kind of had a big night last night. I don't know if anyone heard about that. But they just seem like they're playing whack-a-mole. Like one week their defense is good, the next week their offense is good, but they're not playing anywhere near their expectations. They're really not rushing the ball right now. Like I think they're getting like 4.3 yards a carry, which isn't terrible, but against some of the teams they played, that should be substantially higher. They're turning the ball over a ton. They've thrown 11 interceptions already this season. Something is just wrong on that offense. They are struggling in the trenches too, especially on the offensive line. It seems like that's probably where the problems start for their offense, but they've had some guys not pan out this year that I think they were hoping to hit on in the transfer portal, and they just haven't been as good as they thought. But they are better than their record currently indicates. Like they have more talent on that roster than what they're showing. So don't go and check the box and think this is going to be a win just because we played really well the last 2 weeks and they've been in the doghouse. They're just something's not right there, and it could start with like they're allowing 45% of third down conversions. That's a big one for their opponents, especially when you look at some of the teams they played that haven't been that great. They're giving up 5.5 yards per carry on the ground. And I think in the passing game too, they're allowing 13 yards per catch. So a lot of problems.
They are rated the worst team in pass coverage in the Sun Belt on PFF.
Ooh, Georgia Southern wasn't too much better if I remember.
Actually, Georgia Southern's fourth.
Oh, not anymore.
Not last night.
They were.
The issue with Georgia Southern was not their coverage. Their issue was their pass rush is one of the worst in the league.
They also stopped blitzing last night because they got tired of getting burned and tried to rush 3, drop 8, and it did not work.
The other issue with Appalachian State, other than coverage, looks to be their tackling. They're one of the worst tackling teams in the league. Not really a great combo. If you can't cover and you can't tackle, leads to a lot of big plays.
The way that we've been running the ball, not tackling well, is going to lead to a recipe for not good stuff if they do that.
Well, the other part about it is if you can't cover, you can't tackle. I mean, it takes two of the biggest things out of the game, but you have to try to stress your defense a little bit differently to make up for those issues, right? But for a team like Old Dominion, where we can run the ball, and then when we suck you in with the run, we'll just throw it over your head down the middle of the field like we did last night. There's only so much you can do to help out the coverage and the bad tackling issues.
Yeah, and I wanted to, before I said this stat, I wanted to go back and make sure it's good because I had not checked it from their game last week, but it is. They are horrendous in the first quarter. They're being outscored 75-13 in the first quarter. They've given up 77 in the second, but their offense's best quarter is the second. They've scored 69 points there this year. So they kind of start behind the 8 ball, and they have to throw a lot. And Justice is pointing this out, their offensive line is not where it should be. So a repeat of our approach to Georgia Southern was punch them in the mouth early and just keep scoring points. That could be another recipe for success down there in Boone because that's a rough go for their offense in the first quarter with 13 points at this point in the season.
Yeah, I hope that's not a stat that we're like we last week with Texas State where like we dominated them in the first half and we shut them down in the first quarter. And we flipped that on its head, right? I hope that is not a stat that we flip on its head because that's how you leave the door open for a team like Appalachian State because they do have a lot of talent and they should not be this bad.
No, and you don't want this Georgia State game to be the get-right game and then all of a sudden like the app we expected is who we go and face down there. But I will not be predicting that this game is a rout like I did for Georgia Southern. This is going to be a fight. I think anytime you go play down in Boone, you squeak out with a 1-point win, you will gladly take it, get on the bus, and drive however many hours to the airport to fly home.
So that's another thing that we should talk about. Obviously, this area has been wrecked with flooding and the hurricane, and a lot of stuff is just upside down. Prayers to all the people in that area. I hope they can figure a way through this. And sorry for all the losses that in your neighborhoods. But I know there's a lot of hotels that have just been destroyed in this storm. Where the hell are we staying?
I'm guessing you're going to have to stay an hour and a half or 2 hours outside at least, because it's hard to stay there in general on a game day. So you're probably doing some driving.
Yeah, I know historically we do not stay in Boone for the night before the game. Like I want to say we stay in Greensboro and then bus over the day of, either Greensboro or Charlotte. So,
which might explain why we've played poor there. That's a long bus trip before you have to get loose and play a football game.
Part of that home field advantage, man. There are a couple of those spots like that in the Sun Belt. Like Southern Miss is another one. They're an hour from Biloxi. I think there's like one hotel in town that like it could actually host a football team, and it's like one big meeting room, and that's everything. All your meetings, all your meals, everything is happening in that one room.
Yeah, we talked about that with Monroe. So the nearest hotel for teams to stay at to Monroe is 45 minutes outside of Monroe. And the locker room at the stadium only accommodates for 50 guys at a time. So the teams have to go they have to go in phases to get changed and get ready for the game. And then at halftime, you're not all in the locker room because you can't all fit in the locker room.
How is that not an FBS requirement?
They relax
so many
pretty much all those
stupid requirements that NCAA has, but something like that, no.
Well, I mean, the same reason we got rid of the attendance rule, because if you actually enforced it, you'd be losing these teams that these conferences need.
So half a Conference USA,
and a lot of the MAC.
Oh yeah, I got a look at the visitor locker room at Bowling Green, and it reminded me of like a high school gym. It's just kind of all cinder block walls on the inside. And I know if you watch the post-game press conference video, I know you didn't listen to it because I couldn't hear anything. I was standing a foot away from Coach Ronnie.
I can smell that locker room without ever walking in it, just from memories of high school.
If they made that into like a air freshener hang tag in your car, you would bring back so much PTSD for some guys who got like rolled up in wrestling mats and stuff or crashed on the floor. And that's the first thing they smelled when they came to, is that awful gym smell.
Thank you for the memories and the bonus edition of staph infection.
It's like wet socks and
If
ass.
this was a movie, my light would start flashing, and I'm going back to the high school days where I'm walking in after a 3-a-day, like just beaten up and sweating out 20 pounds of water. Like,
and the AC's out again.
Yeah. After drinking out of a water hose all day. Like,
Oh, Scout's entered the chat. Scout has entered live.
And Lenny, both of them. Get it, dogs.
We ordered Indian food, and it apparently is here.
Your dogs are very excited about it. Hope you got them some naan.
Hey, they're just doing their job protecting this house, just like our defense has been doing all season.
Very nice, Mike. I like that.
I don't know if the defense has been getting enough credit this year for how well they've played. Other than Coastal, they've been great in every game. And obviously, Virginia Tech, the dam broke, but, you know, it wasn't their fault.
No, we were in that in the fourth quarter because of the defense. Like, they just keep rolling dudes out there. Like, I'm having to look at the roster to, like, double check that someone have a number change, like, who is out there, and there's just no drop-off in play. Like, for Georgia Southern to score that touchdown against kind of our reserve secondary, they had to draw up, like, a perfect fade route with a perfect throw and a perfect catch. Like, that's the only way they scored on those guys. And I think those were some, like, walk-ons and guys that may not have even touched the field this year. And they're still giving Georgia Southern hell all the way down the field. It's Coach Seiler, enjoy them while you can.
That's the beauty of it. We talked about it before we started. They had basically 4 plays that accounted for almost all of their yards last night. But almost every catch they made had to be a miraculous catch because of how good the coverage was. There was like 3 catches that I saw them make that was just like, all right, that's a pretty damn tough catch to make. Like, that's almost a play of the game type of catch just to get 7 yards. Like,
Yeah. It's unbelievable. And we just,
And fortunately, we weren't
disguise it
sweating
so
any of
well.
them. It was like, all right, whatever.
And I know Georgia Southern fans are not super happy with Clay Helton because of the things you pointed out with Mike of just collapsing down the stretch.
yeah.
If you want to be mad at him for another reason, putting a flea flicker on video down 44-7 and celebrating like you won the national title, come on, buddy. Like, come on. Really?
Yeah. First thing I said to Aaron is, I can't believe they wasted a trick play there. Like, what are you doing? The game's over.
They were.
Yeah.
That's where they were. That's how down bad they were last night. Is they had to go to that.
It was well executed, so I'll give them that.
Oh yeah.
It was.
But
The screen they ran for the long touchdown for the first touchdown was a good play.
that was
too.
nice.
It was well designed, well executed, and we sent the house blitzing, which I love us blitzing. You're going to get caught occasionally on that, but when that's
And
the
old
only
boy
thing-
squirted through, and he was fast.
God, yeah, he had some wheels.
that was a white boy, right? Dallas?
Yup.
Yeah, it was
Remind
well
me-
blocked.
Are you
too.
sure he wasn't our number 11?
He only plays special teams now, Aaron. So,
I know, but I mean, he's so fast.
yeah, you got to practice better, I guess.
I don't know.
All right.
Holden Brown got a snap at quarterback last night. So
Chat, before we do this, any predictions for this weekend? If you add them now, we'll talk about it. Let's hear them. I mean, for App State. Sorry, not this weekend.
I was going to say,
next weekend. Let's see, what day is it? Is it Sunday? I'm confused.
This is crazy. I remember when we first started, we were doing episodes on Thursdays
Oh yeah.
because we were trying to do that like visitor Q&A thing.
yeah.
And now we're doing an episode on a Friday. This is wild. All right. John wants to know, I'm going to put this comment up. It says, what remaining games are must-wins to guarantee a bowl appearance? John, that's a good question, but I think it's the wrong question. This team is focused on winning a conference championship. We're not worried about a bowl right now. We're worried about winning a conference championship right now. And that
Hell
should be
yeah, Mike.
But must wins. I think you got to look at the 2 weakest teams left on our schedule, how they've performed through this point of the season. And I think it's A-State, Arkansas State. We got to win there. That would suck to have to win that game to go to a bowl. I'm tired of having to win the last game to go to bowl games. I want to have more than 6 before the last week.
Well,
And the other
where
one was probably App because, I mean, they are 2-4 right now.
this is where my head's at, Mike. Ricky gets a couple extra days here. We talked about this a little earlier. When he has extra time, they're usually fruitful results. All right, so we go down to App. We get that win. We keep this momentum going. And then we get number 6 against the team that everybody wants to see. That's what it needs to be. And we freaking put our elbow on those dudes and we give our fans something to be happy of because they've just continually been beat down the last few years there.
And John, that is a fair point that we have not won gone over 500 since 2016. I get it. But this team is different.
Well, I think the best thing we can do is just get bowl eligibility out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
like
talked about
weeks.
We talked about the end of last season, beginning of this season. Like the 6th win to be bowl eligible should be a woohoo, great, cool. All right, what else do we need to do to go win the East? We're actually in that situation now. So go down and beat App, beat the shit out of JMU at home. We get to celebrate the rivalry win. We got our 6th win, and then we go have a slugfest with Marshall, who's going to win the East.
And we get a bye week before JMU, right?
We
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. 2 extra days for App and then a bye week for JMU. We need
Well, hold
to do it
on.
there.
What's Ricky's record after a bye week?
100 no.
4-0.
So, yeah, I think it's the next 2 games. Win the next 2 games. Take the stress off of thinking about bowl game, and then just focus on winning the division after that.
And then we can go with the dice roll going to Jonesboro the Saturday after Thanksgiving. If we could make that game not matter for the Sun Belt East standings, then we're in business.
Yeah, think about how loose the dudes would be able to play in that road game.
Oh, Butch would be RIP.
All right, and I have another question before we get to predictions. Chat, this is for you. Last week we interviewed Danny Reed, midweek. I thought it was an enjoyable discussion about football, learning about the opposition. He had me shook for a minute. He almost made me a believer in Georgia Southern. But we showed pretty early on that he's a company man that is just a pro. Would you like us to continue doing video Q&As moving forward? Let's hear your answers. If not, we won't do them. But we tried to add a little gravitas to how big of a game that was yesterday for us. And I'm wondering what the feedback is because we haven't had any. John liked it. So
We got one yes.
if
Maybe
that's
we
the
can put it
only
out on a
response I
Twitter.
get, all right. Justice is 1,000% yes. So
I feel like Justice is a little bit biased from the G5 Hive.
yeah, we're going to need to find someone from Appalachian State to talk some football.
There's quite a few of them out there. Some of them are pretty good. We're lucky in the Sun Belt. There's actually some pretty dedicated fans that have like podcasts like this, or they're really investing in their team. I know Kara over at Arkansas State. I think she's the only person I know at Arkansas State other than like that one Red Wolves fan guy. But Kara is awesome. She might be one of the best in the league, honestly.
Yeah, we'll definitely have Kara back because we just like talking to her. G5 Hive is suggesting David Ware. I don't know David Ware, but we have some other App State contacts that would probably be perfect for this, and we'll try to get them on. All right. Predictions. Who wants the short straw to go first?
Aaron's been in Europe, so he's got to go first. And he's got to get us hype before I let us down. Or will I?
All right, you guys want me to go first? I mean, I'm perfectly willing to do it. I've done lots of evaluation. I've thought about this a lot, so I'm ready if you guys are ready.
Yeah, I got some Bookers to drink and some Grateful Dead to listen to because rest in peace, Phil Lesh. You're the best.
Oh, yeah.
All right, before I give this shameless plug, thank you for everybody that's tuned in right now. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, we put that in the chat. Please go over there and subscribe to it. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps us out. It helps the pride of ODU out. It helps us to be able to bring this sort of stuff to you guys. So thank you very much. All right. As for the prediction for next Saturday's game, I'm not going to say what I really think is going to happen because I believe in doing what I need to do to keep this thing going. I don't know that I really think it's going to be a 3-point game. But Ethan Sanchez, 50-yard field goal, wins this game because I'm not screwing this streak up. Book it. Go Monarchs.
Aaron, the lack of belief in your voice and your delivery there has me concerned. I would love to hear your deep down gut prediction and feeling on this.
Seriously?
It's an aside. It's not your real
Okay.
prediction. Your real prediction is Ethan Sanchez. It's booked. It is what it is. But what is your deep down gut telling you is going to happen in this game?
Honestly, I think things are coming together for this team. They're really starting to hit on all cylinders. Colton is clear that he's starting to become more comfortable with each and every snap that he has. This team has big-time belief in him. You can see that on the sidelines, and the defense is just so damn consistent, other than the one game we talked about, and they've been able to do it with so many different players. So things are just aligning so well. And just like before, with all the one-score games of being the streak and not being able to go away from the trend, the trend has changed. Like we've seen that. If you're a stock guy and you're looking at the chart looks different for Old Dominion right now. So I would say that it's not going to be a one-score game. We'll win this game, by 10, 14 points, which is App State on the road. I think that's what it's going to end up being.
All right, beautiful. Gary, what do you got for us?
All right, it's an early prediction because I do want to watch them on Saturday, and maybe I change a couple things around, but not the answer. So the stat that I go back to for App State is they are averaging 1 1/3 sacks per game, 8 total on the season, and almost all of those came in like 1 or 2 games against pretty inferior competition. They can't rush the passer. They can't get sacks. Colton Joseph is going to have time to pick apart defenses. We're going to be able to run if they drop too much in coverage. I don't see a way that the offense doesn't just dominate. I'm not worried about our defense. Our defense is going to do their thing. They're doing their best to hold teams under 20 because that's apparently what they do in the Sun Belt over the last 2 games. I think that this is close early and distant late in ODU by 17.
I love that pick. I'm going to keep staying away from predicting points. But I'm going to continue saying what I really believe. Keep playing great defense. Keep running the ball down their damn throat. Make the plays when they're there in the passing game. Keep it clean on penalties and flags. And we win. As simple as that. Play a clean game. Stay true to what we are, where we stay committed to the run no matter what. And we win this game. Old Dominion. All right, sorry, I'm getting thrown off by these chats. John says team needs to ignore App's record, even on a down year stuff. Absolutely right. As long as we were focused in, we should have a good performance. That's 100% right, John. And that is why we need to play clean Old Dominion football, strong defense, run it down their damn throat, make them remember that they played Old Dominion. The beauty of this future season for us, App has a coach on the ropes. Marshall has a coach on the ropes. We can be the guy that walks in and says, "You think this is the guy? No. We're going to remind you why you want to fire him." And hopefully we're just that guy that's walking in and like reminding everyone, "Hey, you need to change coaches. This is not the dude."
Damn straight. Just like Justice Skull, with all those old WWF guys, this goes back to what Randy Orton is the legend killer. Let's be the coach killer. Let's put all these guys to bed.
Yeah, let's be the Grim Reaper of Sunbelt coaching the rest of the season.
Just keep exercising those demons because John's right. We've never played well at App, but this is the opportunity to go down there and right some wrongs from the past, play a great game, and go win. I will tell you, though, if App loses to Georgia State, we will be road favorites in that game. And I would love to know if anyone can look up the last time that Old Dominion was a road favorite in a football game. Anybody? Because we weren't at Southern Miss last year. That would have probably been the last chance to be a road favorite. That may be a call for Eric Bohannon if he can pull up that data. I don't know if he gets that or not. I'll find it.
I don't know. I saw Jim Heath on earlier. Jim might know that off the top of his head. I don't know.
I'll have to go through the action reports on that to see when the last time we were.
It has to have been a while since we were a road favorite.
I would probably assume Conference USA days, that last 6-6 record.
Maybe FIU going down there to Mr. Worldwide Pitbull Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, the 3-win season we might have even been favored over Georgia State. I don't know.
No, we were slight dogs in that game because I was down there for that one. Yeah,
Okay.
You may have to go back to FIU or somebody like that for the last time. I know we were never favored in El Paso or San Antonio or in Denton. Oh, and by the way, thank goodness we're not Conference USA anymore. You imagine like having to fly to Miami and then like Las Cruces, New Mexico for these games?
To play in front of nobody on a Tuesday night.
Yeah. And then go on the
Yeah.
road and lose to Kennesaw State. Oh, sorry. That's the second time I've mentioned that loss tonight.
All right. Well, Monarchs, we've given you our predictions. We've given you our peace of mind on this. And Kevin, you were right. We are still 4-4. We got to make that move. But we are 3-1 in the Sun Belt.
The next win is a really important for anyone who joined me in that over win total bet. Just saying.
And it's really important for me and Aaron and our predictions of us winning, what?
7 games.
7, yeah.
7
You
and
were at
5.
7, I was at 6.
Yep.
If we get to 5, though, there'll at least be some more NIL money to throw around.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
there might be a lot less NIL money to throw around with the way Colton's playing. That
That's
kid's
why-
going to get paid.
That's why
We
I need
just
this bet to
have to
hit
raise
so I can
more.
reload it.
yeah, we just got to raise more.
So,
Yeah.
with that, before we close, if you haven't joined the collective, please join us. It brings you this amazing podcast. We're going to continue adding more pieces, more content, and building this thing up. And then we can do that because you support the collective, which is partnered with us. And that's what makes it possible. We're putting out so much content. I can't even remember all the stuff I did the last 2 weeks. Just so many interviews. Aaron is going to the basketball facility on Sunday. He's going to be interviewing a bunch of players to get you ready for basketball season. Like, we got 2 basketball shows coming your way. We're going to be back with the soccer show this week. We're doing this because you guys support the collective, and that's why we need more of you to join in, because it makes all of this work possible, but it also makes keeping these guys at Old Dominion more likely. If we don't have the money and we don't have the support, that doesn't happen. And I know I sound like PBS right now, but we need your support. So join the
Sarah
Pride of
McLaughlin.
ODU.
Yeah.
So, hey, I have a new line. Be a monarchist. Join the collective. Join the
Hey,
Pride.
if we get people to give 60 cents a day, we could raise a shitload of money for the collective. And we don't have to have sad pictures of dogs. We could have cool pictures of dogs like Hudson, who we saw, by the way, the other day, looking good.
Hudson, too, is a big boy, by the
Beast.
way. Huge.
Yeah, we got the tailgate with him at the Ronnie tailgate yesterday. And Deb Ronnie just checking in. She loves it. She's amped up. Great seeing you yesterday, Deb. Happy you got to see that resounding win. I don't know. We're just so blessed to be in this position and watch this team grow and blossom right in front of our eyes. And all these people that joined late that weren't there last night, you know what they're going to be claiming when we win the division this year?
They were at every game.
It's going to be just like New Hampshire. I was there. I saw him throw for 700 yards.
That's right.
I
It
know
was so hot.
I know you did it because there was only like 500 of us, just like the North Texas comeback. How many people
But
were
that
there?
was so cold.
Well,
Yeah.
the New Hampshire game, there was still a pretty decent crowd there. It wasn't full, but there was a decent crowd. I think of Georgia State to end last year, and pretty much the only people in the stands were the 100 or so people huddled in the beer garden, and then, of course, the parents who stayed over on their side. But that's another one of like, oh, I was there, really? Because I've heard from 50,000 people that were there, and there were about 200 of us.
Well, I was there with you guys because we were all huddled together in the beer garden.
Trying to stay warm.
And my parents and sister were there with me, and I didn't realize like my mom was like right on the ESPN Plus camera, so she was super happy about that. But
So speaking of ESPN Plus and support, we got a watch party this weekend, Mike. Next weekend.
Yes, sir. We will be at Afterglow, which has a fantastic new upgrade. They added in a big projector screen and projector for the front, like garage door. So we're going to have it on multiple TVs and a projector. We've had a lot of fans come out in each game, and a lot of people keep coming back because of how much fun they had at the last one. So if you want to jump on this bandwagon and watch this team rise from the ashes, and continue to build. Join us at Afterglow. Let's have some fun, drink some beer, and root on the Monarchs. Party should start around 1 o'clock, I think. And
Mother fluff and glow. That's right. I love that.
Let's motherfuff and go. Thank you guys for tuning in. We are the Monarchist. And as always, go Monarchs.
Go Monarchs.
Go Monarchs.